Mick and you're watching my YouTube channel, Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram, Movies TV Mad X. Got it? Go do it after this video. Welcome to my preview of the third and final Doctor Who 60th anniversary special, The Giggle, and I'm very excited to talk about this with you today. If you've only known me for a short time or since 2018 when I launched this very channel, you will know I'm a very perceptive person. This can both be a good thing and a bad thing. It can be a curse because I see through things and people very easily, and it's my temptation always to expose them when I see through them, and that doesn't win me a lot of fans, and one of the many reasons I'm not very successful as a content creator. You know, there's a lot of content creators that get on very well with, you know, actors in the industry, producers, directors, writers. I end up falling out with most of them I talk about because I'm very direct and I'm very honest. Now, everybody knows the high regard I have for Russell T Davies. But I can't just sit here and be positive and blow smoke up his backside as much as I would like, because I really like him. I really value him. I think he's done so much for me as a writer. So I want to put that out there before I start talking today, because the Doctor Who mist is certainly clearing for me. Let me paint you a very interesting scenario. Theory alert, theory alert. What if Russell T Davies had decided and agreed to return as Doctor Who showrunner from Chris Chibnall's second Doctor Who series, Series 12, the very series where the Timeless Child arc began and revealed in The Timeless Children? But I'll go one deeper. What if it wasn't Chris Chibnall who came up with the idea of The Timeless Children, but Russell T Davies himself? Look at the evidence. He mentioned the flux in Wild Blue Yonder last Saturday. And now it's coming to my attention that in The Giggle, he's going to use the Timeless Children a lot more to set something up. And I think we can easily say that the Toymaker is also part of this. So very interesting. RTD has already warned that it's going to be a very controversial episode. Many critics have seen this episode thus far and are very happy with it. But it's very rare to hear TV critics be negative about Doctor Who, so you can't really trust them. But there is one proviso. They haven't been allowed to watch the final scenes, whatever that means. However much of the finale part of The Giggle, they have not been allowed to see it. So Morgan Jeffrey, a very famous, you know, television journalist and critic, has said he liked the episode, but he has clarified that he wasn't able to see the ending. So this is becoming, look, I think there's a discomfort around Doctor Who fans now, especially since RTD told us that it's going to be controversial and we're going to be viewing Doctor Who history in a different way. And, you know, what does that mean? We'll get into it very shortly. So in the comments down below, please let me know. Do you believe it's possible that RTD agreed to come back as Doctor Who showrunner during the work, the development and broadcasting of the second Chibnall season? And do you think it's possible that it wasn't Chibnall that came up with the Timeless Child arc, but it was RTD? If you think about it, it makes sense. So that's my theory right now. So let's get back to this episode, because we've already seen a clip from it. And again, RTD is bashing us over the head with that sledgehammer as the Doctor encounters a member of the public who won't get off the road. Everyone's shouting and screaming at each other. And this guy goes, no! In the past 2 days, everyone just thinks they're right all the time. Get it? Like us about the Timeless Children. Not me necessarily, because I didn't mind the storyline. I think the storyline is interesting if you actually do something with it. And it's pretty clear that RTD has planned on certainly doing something with it within the timeless. No, say that again. They're going to, he's clearly planned to do something with it in terms of the giggle. Now, let's talk about going forward if the Timeless Children will be the origin story of Doctor Who. Well, if I'm right and it was his idea, I think going forward in this new RTD2 era, I think absolutely he's going to go with this. He's going to use this as the Doctor's origin story. If it's Chibnall's idea, I think he'll use it in the giggle, then get as far away from it as possible. And there's lots of rumours about what could happen about, in terms of the Timeless Children in the giggle. That actually the Toymaker originates from the Doctor's universe and Doctor's planet and gives him the opportunity for limitless regenerations and maybe even to return to where he comes from. Let me ask you this question. Could it be possible that David Tennant's 14th Doctor goes back to his world and stays there? And we've seen the beginning of a regeneration. Well, that can still happen when he goes back to that world. It's interesting, isn't it? Because look, something is cooking here. Something very different is going to occur. Could David Tennant's 14th Doctor go back to his universe and regenerate as Ncuti Gatwa? No. I don't think that's a possibility, because I think Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor is a different Doctor to Tennant's Doctor. I mean, he's not part of this 60th anniversary continuity. I think this is where we're going with this, but we will see on Saturday's episode what happens. But as I say, there's been a somewhat uncelebratory kind of tone and culture around these two specials thus far. It all started with the Children in Need thing, with Davros being taken out of the wheelchair, being taken out of the prosthetics. And, hardcore Doctor Who fans are very, very angry about that. Then we got the kind of man-bashing line, the male-presenting Time Lord thing. Some people triggered by the trans representation. I'm not one of those people, just to be clear. And then there was Sir Isaac Newton, who was played by a non-white actor. Again, not triggered by that, because in that universe, in the fictional universe, he can be of darker complexion, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I understand the far-left ideology, right? And I get what they're trying to do and say, because they do it all the time and they love rewriting history. But we know that Isaac Newton was a white man in reality. So it really doesn't matter what they do and say in Doctor Who. And that's why, again, I am not triggered by that. But if we look at what we know about the giggle thus far, is very, very little. We know the Celestial Toymaker is a threat. We know he's the villain of the story. How deep he's the villain of the story, we don't know. He may not be the main villain. They may reveal another villain. It could be that the Celestial Toymaker has come together with all the Doctor's enemies and they gang up on the Doctor. Maybe something like that. Look, I think this is the episode where you're going to see maybe some returning Doctors. And I don't know why, but I have this funny feeling that Christopher Eccleston's 9th Doctor will cameo. Whoa, calm down, stop shouting at me. No way, Mick. Eccleston wouldn't come back to work with RTD. Interesting thing happened, interesting thing happened the other day. He held up a big issue on his Instagram with Ncuti Gatwa's picture on it. Now we know that Chris is a big advocate of the big issue and, helping the homeless. He's one of the few actor celebrities out there that actually cares about the things that people should care about, apart from not gender politics, not the culture war, but people suffering on the streets, people suffering, children who need to be in safe and secure homes, things like that. We don't get many people. Chris Eccleston is definitely old school, but good old school, right? Anyway, I do believe that, from what I hear, that there were conversations with Chris and Russell to try and sort this out. And I think we can tell that from the moment Chris went back to, not back, but started doing Big Finish, that there clearly was the beginning of a resolution between him, the BBC, Russell T Davies, Julie Gardner, Jane Tranter and Phil Collinson. I don't think the problem was ever with Jane. I think it was more with Russell, Phil and Julie. I think that's where the problems occurred. And we've spoken about this at some length before as well, where Chris could see that Russell and Phil and Julie were having trouble, getting their hands, controlling a big production like Doctor Who. They weren't used to doing it back in Series 1, and people weren't being treated very well. They were being overworked, and as a union man, Chris didn't like that, and this is what got him in hot water with them. But I do believe there's a chance we will see Chris cameo in the Giggle. We will see. You're going to see a lot of cameos. Anyone could appear in this episode. I think this is the episode. If we're going to see returning characters, it's got to be in this episode. It's not something that I demand, but I think many Doctor Who fans will want to see a celebratory episode of Doctor Who, because neither have the previous two been very, very special. They've been okay, they've been good, they would have been great in a Doctor Who series, but as specials celebrating 60 years of Doctor Who, no. For me, that hasn't been it. Now, it's going to be interesting, because I think after celebrating 60 years of Doctor Who in this episode, and I think this episode will absolutely do things properly in terms of being a celebratory anniversary episode, it then will step away from 60 years of Doctor Who. I'm not sure how he's going to do this, but I do know he is going to do it. He's going to do something. Now, what's even more interesting here is how he's pre-warned us that this is going to be controversial. And he's already told us we'll be looking at Doctor Who history in another way. And for months now, he's been talking about Doctor Who Series 1 instead of Doctor Who Series 14. So something's definitely popping, but it could be something and nothing. Or it could be something very, very huge. So it's interesting that he's pre-warned us, because we heard leaks about the Timeless Children finale and what it was going to do, but we were never sure if it was true. The leaks were true. It wouldn't be a surprise to me if the BBC leaked that, so we knew beforehand, because they were worried about the fallout. But I don't think even they knew the fallout for the Timeless Children was going to be as huge as it was. A lot of people, and a lot of people I respect in the industry and fans, didn't like that. Now, I don't agree that it's bad, because Bill Hartnell is still the first televised Doctor, but they've changed the history a bit. And let's see what Russell does with this. I still think, I absolutely hold to the theory that he's the one who come up with the Timeless Children. Not only that, I think he will admit this after the Giggle airs, that BBC iPlayer commentary of the Giggle that RTD is going to give is going to be very, very interesting to listen to. What are the motivations with this? Why does he want to move away from the 60-year continuity, as I think he will? Why is he changing the way we're going to look at Doctor Who history? It's all very, very interesting. Well, that depends exactly what he's going to do. One thing's for sure, this could be the final, this could be the Doctor of this continuity's final stand, and you'll be glad that it's David Tennant that it is with, because there's no finer actor to gobble up the scenery. Imagine David Tennant versus Neil Patrick Harris. I mean, this is like a Doctor Who wet dream. I mean, this is like anyone who loves good acting and wants to see a climactic, epic anniversary is certainly going to get it here. And it's, it's basically in our world. It's our year, basically. It's in the modern world. So it's going to be a very exciting episode. It's going to be a classic series finale. It's going to be very, like, I forgot what it was called, the Eccleston series finale, right? It's going to be like Doomsday. It's going to be like the Last of the Time Lords. It's going to be like Journey's End, or whatever that first season 4 finale is called. I forgot what it's called. But it's going to be a typical RTD series finale in a lot of ways, from like the way he used to do his original series when he ran Doctor Who and he was Doctor Who Supremo then. That's what you're expecting, but he's going to twist the knife and he's going to do something. There's no question about it. And now he's flagrantly just putting it out there that it's going to be controversial, because he kind of likes how he triggered certain fans. There's certain fans and consumers he doesn't like of Doctor Who. He wants you to watch and he wants you to be upset. And because of the world we live in today, you're going to give him exactly what you want. I think this will be a better episode than the first two. This is the real anniversary special, and it's going to be very exciting and very epic, very modern day revival level of Doctor Who. But something is going to happen here that changes Doctor Who forever. I, in a way, I'm excited for this. I've always wanted this to happen because it's pretty clear. I know people will be upset with me saying that, because people just want things to stay the same. There's gatekeepers who want it to be more like the classic series. I understand where all these different fans are coming from. But Doctor Who, since RTD and Tennant left, have been, Doctor Who has been at a crossroads. And it's when shows run for too long, they become bad impressions of themselves. We saw it with the Friends sitcom. Up to a point, we kind of felt that this isn't as classic as it used to be. And I can briefly tell you why. Putting Monica and Chandler together was a mistake. Taking away those mates living together, Joey and Chandler, didn't help. You change things and then it doesn't become the show you fell in love with. And we see it with long-running soaps and lots of long-running series as well. And this is what's happened to Doctor Who. RTD came in, steaming in. He grabbed Doctor Who by the ears, kicked it up the arse and brought it into the modern world. Still Doctor Who, still Doctor, companion, travelling through time and space, but it was modern. It was more emotional, right? This is what he's going to do again in the giggle. He's going to grab Doctor Who by the ears and re-modernise it again. Because whether you like it or not, Doctor Who needs remodernising yet again, because it's been chugging along and it's dying a slow and painful death. Now, what RTD is proposing to do here could be something that saves Doctor Who or kills it altogether. It really depends on his motivations. Does he want to go against certain people who vote in a certain way in elections, or does he care about Doctor Who enough to save it? Could this be a situation where he's the one who brought and put life back into Doctor Who, and he's also going to take it away? I've always called him the Sir Alex Ferguson of Doctor Who. Look at what Sir Alex did. He came to United, sorted the club out, and we were the best club in the world. Then he got into bed, or that's just a kind of analogy, he got into business with two horse racing owners, let them buy into the club, and he fell out with those. Then they sold to the Glazers to spite him, and because of Alex and his dealings, the Glazers have ran Manchester United into the ground. So this could be a similar situation here with Russell T Davies, who's a genius, who I love, who I like. I'd love to meet him and shake him by the hand and give him a big hug. I love him. I think he's great. But I think it's very important in life that we're direct and that we're straight. And it doesn't really matter if we upset people. It doesn't really matter if our heroes are upset with us and maybe, block us from their platforms. Now, he hasn't done that yet because I'm very polite and very complimentary. I mean everything I say to him in a positive sense when I go on his Instagram. But at the end of the day, when I come on here, I'm not tagging him here. I'm not tagging him on Instagram or on X. But the point being, I have to be direct. I have to be true to myself. And I have been pretty much convinced and confident, as you know, for several months, that he's going to change Doctor Who. And it's my stance that he's going to give us a brand new Doctor from a different continuity, which is detached from the 60-year continuity. That's my theory. I could be right about that. I could be wrong about that. And it's the day before this episode goes out. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, if you're wondering if you're interested at all, you may not be interested. When you can see my review of The Giggle, I will be recording it on Sunday morning, and it will be available for you to watch on Monday. First thing on Monday morning. That's how it works, because basically these videos are always recorded basically a day before. So I'm recording this on Friday morning, and you'll see this on Saturday morning. So that's how it works here on Movies TV Mad, because obviously I write, produce and direct my own plays in a theatre that I own with an amateur dramatic society. So I'm a bit of a busy bee, but I love doing these videos. I do. I love talking to you every day, and that's why I do them. So there's basically I record a short video for X, then a 10-minute video for my Instagram account, Movies TV Mad X, then we do the half-an-hour video here. That's how it works. Now, it's going to be kind of interesting what happens when this episode finishes. There's going to be some people who may think, I don't want to watch Doctor Who anymore. I'm not going to watch, The Church on Ruby Road. And that's interesting, because I saw a 5-second clip of Ncuti Gatwa coming out the TARDIS. And just by seeing him, you can see the personality and verve and je ne sais quoi and X Factor that Jodie Whittaker's Doctor didn't have, because her showrunner wouldn't allow her to have it. Already you can see this minority actor playing the first black male Doctor being the Doctor. He's going to be wearing kilts and different outfits all the time. That's very Doctor Who, wearing out their jazzy outfits, isn't it? It's everything the Doctor should be. I think this guy's going to relate really, really well. It just depends how much this controversial twist in The Giggle upsets people. But I think it's going to be so good with Millie and Ncuti anyway. Hopefully it doesn't sting too much. But yeah, it's going to be one of those things where, as a viewer, you're going to have to decide what you make of The Giggle. As I say, mostly The Giggle will be a very exciting, climactic, epic, compelling episode, which I think we're all really, really going to enjoy. Full of frills, full of spills. It's going to be everything that Russell T Davies did well in his original era and all his original series finales. He was always very good at doing brilliant, climactic season finales. But in terms of the twist, will we even see, I was speaking earlier, will we actually see a proper regeneration? We see the energy there in a clip of David having the regeneration energy. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see a full regeneration. The question I've posed for days and days now, will David Tennant regenerate into Ncuti Gatwa? I have my doubts about that. That's not what I think is going to happen. I think that's the last thing that's going to happen. Again, I could be wrong, but it's my gut feeling that this isn't the way Ncuti Gatwa is introduced as the Doctor. As I say, I believe he's a Doctor from a different continuity, a different universe. And I think one thing that you may see, now I'm not sure if they cut this out from the version of the episode the critics saw, but I think you're going to see Ncuti appear a lot during the episode, even before an alleged regeneration. Because that was one of my theories as well, that the 14th Doctor is having an identity crisis, all brought on by the Timeless Children reveal. And in fact, he could, if I'm wrong about him not being the same Doctor in the same continuity, he could have already regenerated. But he's projecting to everyone and himself his older, vibrant face, because it's typical of an older person to want to live in the past when he was a lot younger and vibrant. You know, I should be saying they, not he, really. I think going forward, we will have to say that, because there's going to be so many different people, types of people playing the Doctor. That isn't going to change, and you're either with that or you're against that. And if you're against that, you're probably going to stop watching Doctor Who, which is very, very sad, because I think RTD is going to do a lot of random, exciting shit. Just like the way we heard some lyrics of a song from Murray Gold in the Christmas episode of Doctor Who, The Church on Ruby Road, where we see a bunch of goblins, or hear a bunch of goblins singing and dancing. And they're going to release this, and I'm going to try and use the audio when it's released on December the 11th on my TikTok, Mick Isn't Perfect, because I think that will be a lot of fun to see Doctor Who have a Christmas #1. So on December the 11th, you'll be able to hear that as well. So, yes, it hasn't necessarily been a very celebratory 60th anniversary in terms of the episodes, with controversies and the episodes not being that special thus far. I think certainly there will be things to celebrate the past 60 years in this episode. But it's been a very different road than it was 10 years ago with Stephen Moffat's Day of the Doctor, you know, an adventure in space and time from Gatiss as well, which was very celebratory and educational about how Doctor Who got started, and lots of other different things that they did. It's been a very different mentality. It's been a strange mentality. It's been almost like RTD, you know, putting his point across, you know, putting certain fans of the show and IP in their places. And it's an odd way to celebrate a 60-year-old property. It really isn't a way to celebrate Doctor Who, and we know that, but that's what he's done. It's interesting to come out, you know, when you're about to broadcast a third 60th anniversary special, to tell your audience, instead of this is an episode you can celebrate the past 60 years, nah, this is going to be controversial, and I can't wait what people have to say about it. In other words, I want to wind you up, I want to upset you, I want to break you down, and I can't wait to see your tears. Let's be honest about it. Isn't that what he's really saying? Again, I love you, Russell, but I'm just being direct, and I'm just being honest in the only way that I can be. I don't think there's anything he can throw at me that will make me stop watching Doctor Who, but maybe he'll surprise me. I don't think he's going to do that. I find Russell very, very predictable in a good way. I know his storytelling ethics, and at the end of the day, is it going to be that this Doctor's from a different continuity? Maybe. Will this Doctor not, you know, will David not regenerate into Ncuti? That's not going to trigger me. Will they use the Timeless Children and the Doctor's, you know, universe and planet of origin as the brand new history of Doctor Who? Is Ncuti's Doctor from the Doctor's own universe? That's interesting. That doesn't overwrite the Timeless Children either. Something very, very exciting is going to happen here. And any of those scenarios do not upset me. But that's been my major theory, that we're going to leave this continuity, this universe, and focus on Doctor Who in another universe in the modern day. So, you know, they'll leave this continuity in this universe untouched, and they'll go to another universe so RTD can start resetting Doctor Who. That is my ongoing theory. Now, we will find out. And I say tomorrow night, but obviously you're watching it today, aren't you? So, yes, tonight, we're going to find out what's going to pop and what's not going to pop. So if I've already said tomorrow night, don't get confused, Doctor Who broadcasts on BBC One, 6:30, thereafter on the iPlayer as well, where you can see an RTD commentary trying to explain all the controversial events of the Giggle. If you're outside of the UK, you can watch it, of course, on Disney+. So make sure you watch the episode as early as you can, because we are going to review the fuck out of this episode. And I may try and watch this episode about 4, 5, even 6 times before I talk about it, because I really want to get it fresh in my mind, because this is going to be the most important episode in Doctor Who history, not only to experience, but to discuss afterwards.